I think one of the things for us to take note of seriously is that we seem to be in a rushing, tearing hurry to achieve something and to arrive somewhere. Now, this is obviously a tendency of the self in us, which is always planning for achievement and for success and at arrival at some station in life which it thinks is going to enhance its prestige or power or position, whatever it is. And so long as we have this approach of rushing, tearing, hurry, I believe we will not be able to pay attention to the present moment. And it's very important to pay attention to the present moment, because if we don't do that, then we are not going to learn anything from what is transpiring in the crucible of the present moment, because that's where the drama of life is happening in our individual life and in the life of every other individual. So the spotlight has to be in that area, in the present moment. That is point one. And the second point is, if we look at the human drama, we'll find that one of the most contentious areas of human life is the interpersonal relationship and the frequency with which every one of us is getting hurt in an interpersonal relationship, whether it is between two lovers and who are not expected to get hurt with each other in the first place, and because they're professing their love and yet they're getting hurt, and or between husband and wife, or between brothers and sisters, between parents and their children, between friends, and between a guru and the disciple, and between partners in business, and between an employer and an employee. Almost you'll find this a universal problem, that where two human beings are there, you find that there is that's a very sticky ground and people get hurt. And it's important to understand what actually is happening when we get hurt. Now, if we really know that we are sovereign, which means that we are the primordial light, that we are the primordial awareness, and we are positioned there, and that is not a point in space-time, and that's a point outside space, and that's a point outside time, then whatever may be the insinuation that may be hurled on our face, then we will not get hurt. If we are positioned in eternity, outside space and outside time. But if you are not positioned in that sacred spot, but if you are positioned in the self, which is a very unfaithful representation of the primordial awareness or the Atmic light, a very distorted representation of the pristine Atmic light, the pristine primordial awareness, then we are definitely going to get hurt. Because when we define ourselves through a certain image or through a certain concept, saying that I'm an older person, I should be respected, or I'm a highly educated person and he's only a servant, he ought not to speak to me like this, then those are concepts and those are sensory impressions, and we have defined ourselves either through the body or through a false sense of self, that we are a senior citizen, or that we are a boss in an office, or that we are a parent in a household, or that we are a guru or a church father, and that the other fellow is only a novitiate, and therefore he cannot talk arrogantly to us. And the same thing with the employer and the employee, then definitely we are going to get hurt. Because what is it that gets hurt? What gets hurt is the highly vulnerable, very transient and fickle image we have about ourselves, which is a very perishable thing. I have an idea that I'm an engineer, I'm highly educated, or that I'm a scholar, or that I am superior to some other people, and therefore the so-called inferior people ought to revere me, some such thing. Or that my wife should love me, or that somebody should bow down to me, and things like that. And between friends who are supposed to be equals, there too the self creeps in. The self gives you the definition of who you are, and you say, but I am richer than him, and he is not as wealthy as myself, so I should command more respect, and so on. So by various counts, willy-nilly, when life does not go according to your expectations and according to the dictates of the self, then you get hurt, and then your sense of self is tarnished. But the question is your sense of self the real sense of self, or is it a dubious sense of self? And if we have the patience to inquire, we will find that what really got hurt is a false sense of self. And so long as we're going to have the false sense of self, we are definitely going to get hurt. And the solution to the problem of getting hurt is to understand the process of getting hurt through self-knowing and bringing the life of the self to an end. That is the real durable solution.